All right, welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever stopped to think about what it actually takes to run an election for nearly a billion people? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the incredible machinery behind the world's largest democratic exercise, India's general election. It's a truly amazing look at how the voice of so many people gets turned into actual power.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, with the most basic question of all. Elections, they're a huge headache, right? They're expensive, they create arguments, they can be super divisive. So with all that chaos, why do we even bother? What's the fundamental reason we can't have a democracy without them?
Well, it really all boils down to one simple, powerful word: choice. That's the whole point. Elections are the tool, the process that gives regular people the power to choose who's going to make the big decisions for them.
I mean, just think about the alternatives for a second. How would we pick our leaders? You could try to find the smartest person in the room or the most experienced, but there's absolutely no guarantee they'd actually represent what the people want. That's where elections come in. They provide a clear, fair process where the people themselves get the final say.
So at the end of the day, an election really hands you, the voter, three specific kinds of power. You get to choose the people who will write the laws. You get to choose the group that will actually form the government and make the big calls. And you get to choose the party whose overall philosophy is going to guide the country. It's an incredible amount of influence.
Okay, but it's not as simple as just saying, hey, let's have a vote. For an election to be legit, for it to be really democratic, you've got to have some ground rules. So what are the non-negotiables that make an election fair?
You can pretty much think of these 5 things as the gold standard for any democracy anywhere on the planet. First, everyone gets one vote, and every single vote has to be worth the same. Second, there has to be real choice, different parties and candidates competing. Third, elections have to happen regularly. Power isn't a lifetime appointment. Fourth, the person who gets the most votes actually wins. And finally, the whole shebang has to be conducted freely and fairly without cheating or threats.
You know, that second point about competition, that's a tricky one. I mean, let's be honest, it's what makes politics so messy and frankly kind of ugly sometimes, all the fighting and negativity. So you got to ask, is it actually a good thing? Is it worth it?
And this is where you see the real push and pull of democracy. On one hand, yeah, all that competition can create division and factions, it can lead to some really dirty tricks, and it often means politicians are only thinking about the next election, not the long term. But on the other side, and this is the big one, it's the single best thing we have to force leaders to actually serve the people. It's like a marketplace. If they don't perform, they know the voters will just choose their competitor next time around. It's the ultimate incentive to do a good job.
All right, so now that we have those basic democratic principles down, let's see how they play out in the real world, on the biggest stage imaginable, India's general election.
So here it is, the whole process laid out from start to finish. And trust me, it is an absolutely massive logistical operation. We're going to zoom in on a few of the most critical parts of this machine.
First things first, you have to carve up the map. The entire country gets divided into 543 different zones, or what are called constituencies. And the deal is simple. Each one of these areas gets to elect one and only one person to represent them in the national parliament.
Now here's a really important feature that's designed to make things fair. To guarantee that historically marginalized groups get a voice, some of these constituencies are reserved. What that means is, in those specific areas, only candidates from those communities can run for the seat. It's a built-in way to ensure their voices are heard in parliament. And then there's transparency, which is a huge deal. Every single person who wants to run for office has to, by law, file a public declaration. They've got to lay all their cards on the table, their education, their finances, both assets and debts, and, this is a big one, any serious criminal charges pending against them. It's all about giving voters the real story so they can make a smart choice.
So, you've got almost a billion voters, hundreds of parties, thousands of candidates. It sounds like total chaos, right? So who's the ref? Who makes sure everybody plays by the rules in this colossal game? Well, that brings us to what might be the single most powerful player in the entire process.
In India, that job belongs to one group, the Election Commission. And the key word here is independent. They are set up to be completely outside the influence of the government or any political party. They are the neutral umpire, period.
And when we say they have power, we mean immense power. The Election Commission calls all the shots. They decide everything, from the exact dates the election will happen to the moment the final results are declared. They run the entire show.
There are also the enforcers. There's a rule book called the Model Code of Conduct that spells out exactly what politicians can and can't do during a campaign. For example, you can't use government resources for your own campaign, and you absolutely cannot appeal to voters based on caste or religion. If you break the rules, the commission can and will punish you.
And if you want to see just how much authority they really have, check this out. If the commission believes an election in a particular area was totally unfair, say there was evidence of widespread cheating, they have the power to just nullify the entire result. They can literally say, nope, that one didn't count. Everyone, we're doing it over. That is some serious power.
Which leads us to the final and most important question of all. You can have all the perfect rules and a super powerful umpire, but what's the verdict from the people? Do they actually believe the system is legit? Does it actually work in their eyes?
Well, one of the most powerful ways to tell is to just look at who bothers to show up and vote. And here, the data shows something fascinating and kind of the opposite of what you see in many Western countries. In India, it's the poor and less privileged citizens who consistently vote in higher proportions than the rich and privileged. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you they have a deep-seated belief that their one vote is a powerful tool for change.
And the other signs are just as strong. Voter turnout is high, and it's often going up. Regular folks feel like their vote matters and can actually put pressure on politicians. And maybe the biggest tell of all? The party in power loses elections. A lot. This happens all the time at both the national and state levels, which is crucial proof that the system isn't rigged to just keep the powerful in power.
And this really gets to the heart of it. The ultimate test of a fair system isn't the winner's victory parade, it's how the loser reacts. In India, the losing party almost always accepts the result as the people's decision. That peaceful acceptance is the ultimate proof that everyone believes the game was played fairly.
So, this entire, massive, complicated machine we've just walked through, it's all designed to do one thing: produce a clear result that everyone, winners and losers alike, can accept. It reinforces trust in the whole democratic system. And that leaves us with one final, very important thought. If the true sign of a healthy democracy is that the losers accept a result, what does it mean for that democracy when they stop doing that?